Hello, hello. I'm going to hide our guest from you for the moment. That'll be a surprise. And welcome you today to Celebrity Customer Experience Riffs with me, Jill Raff, where we riff on anything related to employee experience and customer experience. Because I am truly obsessed with employee experience, creating outstanding customer experience. I believe your business will thrive and will increase revenue due to engaging committed and loyal employees and customers. And it begins from the inside out, which is why my process is called the Inside Out Framework, because I guarantee you outstanding EX employee experience will produce outstanding customer experience. And why celebrity customer experience as the name of the show? Because I believe that every customer should be treated and pampered and given the same attention that a celebrity does. After all of our dollars equal the same amount when you deposit it in the bank. So before I bring on our guest today, which is going to be a really interesting conversation, I just want to encourage all of those on Clubhouse to take notes for the Q&A that we're going to have after. Ping in anyone that you think will benefit and enjoy and contribute to this conversation. I really welcome you to please bring in as many people as you can, which will make it more interesting. And if you're watching live on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, you feel free to make a comment in the thread where this is live, and I will be able to see it. And then we can ask Claire, we can have a discussion around it, or just want to say hi and give us your thoughts. Please engage with us. It makes it so much more fun and interesting. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest and welcome today, Claire Bosk-Scott.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, thank you. I'm happy for you to join us. She just finished one webinar and popped on here, so I'm glad it all worked out. Claire specializes in mystery shopping and customer service with a Feng Shui twist. Claire inspires businesses to thrive by delivering exceptional customer experience. She's number 5 top global customer experience guru and UK's top 20 CX influencer with a 3-year decade experience. Claire is also known as the busy queen bee and an authority in the customer experience industry and space. She brings a more holistic approach and comprehensive approach to customer and employee experience with her Feng Shui business. Claire is also a keynote speaker, consultant, and trainer, and a 3-time author with her new hot release of The Secret Diary of a Mystery Shopper. So many great things. Claire also has developed her caring service culture leading program. So anyway, so many great things. I think you'll just benefit to hearing more of her talk. So we're going to jump right in. Claire, again, thank you. I appreciate you joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure. You know, when we talk about customer experience or we talk about employee experience or, you know, that's what it's all about. We're sharing the same passion, don't we?
We do. We do. And I know we've spoken before and been connected on LinkedIn before. And gosh, we could just talk forever about that. Right? So let's start. So everyone listening, whether they're online or through Clubhouse, let's start and understand a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do 2 things here. Let's hear a little bit about your background, your journey. You're in the UK. Introduce yourself and let us know kind of how a little bit about you.
Sure. So I am French originally, but I've been in living in Jersey, which is a little island between France and England, for the last 20 years. And I really have been abroad now for 35 years out of France. It's just a bit crazy. I've been in that industry forever. My parents had a restaurant, so I kind of grew up in that hospitality service industry. And I guess you either love it or hate it, you know, that kind of things. And I just remember expecting a Michelin inspector. Do you remember the French Michelin inspector? They were coming in and giving you the restaurants, the hotels, your stars.
Of course.
I was so excited, waiting for them to come. I don't think my dad was as excited, but
bit of stress, a bit of
I was
pressure.
really excited. And I thought, would it not be cool to actually be an inspector and go around and eat in restaurants and sleep in beautiful hotels? I would have never imagined that 30 years later, I would actually be running my own company doing that. Life is incredible, isn't it? So I've worked in Disney World in Florida, in Epcot Center, in the French Pavilion for a whole year. And this was, Jill, I have to say, probably the very first and the most important part in my life, which really triggered something about what is customer experience all about? What does that really mean? And what does employee experience is all about? Because if someone does it right, it's Disney. Oh yes, there's something about it that every step of the way, from the minute you have a job with them, you get a full Bible of what to do and what not to do, the hair, the length of your nails, the size of your shoes. You can't actually go on the park until you've actually been to Mickey Mouse University for a whole week. So they tell you what to do and what not to do. So this has 25 years later, there's still a massive and there's still a massive what do you call it, feel and emotions and memories of Disney, which has come with me all the way. So I was a hotel manager for probably 10 years. And 11 years ago, I was getting through a divorce. I was managing a hotel. I was working crazy hours. You know it, right? Those crazy hours in hotels. You know what I mean?
Hotels, restaurants, it's a 24/7
Right.
obsession.
My children were 6 and 10 at the time, so they were still so small. I had an au pair at home looking after them, and it was just a crazy time. And I thought, if I don't do something now, I'm just going to be sick. I'm going to be ill. So I decided to pack everything. So I packed the job. I didn't get divorced. I sold the house and I started the business. I realized that there was a gap in the Jersey market for a mystery shopping company. And that's how it all started. Yeah.
Seeing a void in the market. That's it. And filling that niche. I love what a diverse background, but all really connected to what I think of as a broader expression of hospitality. Anyone who's been on before any of my rooms or where I participated understands that I feel like, sorry, I think there's an echo here, but that the experience is hospitality is the broader term of hospitality, of restaurants, hotels. And for me, it's even about the front facing employees with the customers, regardless of what business that you're in. It's the warmth, it's the taking care of, it's the pampering. That to me is what hospitality is. But you really come from that, the definition of, the restaurant and hospitality worlds. And Disney, that's, amazing. A couple weeks ago, I had a guest on, Andrew Locke, and his whole focus is Disney. He's been obsessed with Disney since he was young. And so hearing you say that, it really kind of echoes. And I love where you talk about the Mickey Mouse University. So, I come from McDonald's. That was my upbringing.
That's right.
And one of my favorite sweatshirts is still my Hamburger University sweatshirt. So yeah, Hamburger University, Mickey Mouse University, they're all about teaching the culture, right? At the end of the day, it's about making sure that your people understand who you are, what you're about, what your culture is. Because if you don't know internally, how are you ever going to convey that to your end customers, right? So,
and everybody has to feel the same, that they're part of, a tribe as well. They're part of something together, that togetherness, that belonging of something. And that's what, those companies do it so well. It's they're kind of bringing everybody together, and they say, together we can do it. We're going there. You're coming with me, and everybody's kind of, yes, because they feel that they're part of it. And so when you have companies who don't really care about employees and they just care about the bottom line, that's when you've got disconnect, because your employees are just, they may perform for a bit because they feel that, they may be new to the job, but then eventually they will drift because they don't feel that they're part of something. They're not leaving a legacy. We all want to do it. I used to have porters, and they used to say, "Oh, I'm only a porter," and I used to say to them, "I can't run the hotel without you."
Right. No, right. That's what's amazing to me, and how companies and businesses are not appreciating and understanding how important their people are, because clearly without them, they would have no business. Yes, you would have no customers, but you need the employees first to be able to deliver whatever that is in a way that the customer is going to love. And you hit on a perfect point. Turnover is one of the biggest problems there is. Staffing with good people, good people who are in alignment with your values. And
Yeah.
then you really can bring them in. And again, what you said, being a part of something as a team, everyone wants to belong. Everyone wants to be heard and have their ideas, their contribution acknowledged and actually put to practice, to try it out and see what happens when people are invested. They will be more invested in your business and the outcome, and they'll see it as their own and have that ownership, and to be a part of the legacy that's hopefully being built and left behind, if they feel like they are actually important. And so I think that's really a part of the responsibility of ownership, of executive management, of mid-management.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that kind of brings nicely to where I'm going, because we are entering a new era, and there's been that pandemic has just completely shifted a lot of things, the way we do, what we used to do. Oh, we've always done it this way. Well, you know what, let's just let's look at another way. Let's be creative. Let's think outside the box. Let's be flexible. Let's see what our customers want. And actually, what do our employees need from us at this moment in time? And having them having to work in their own homes imposed upon us has made a drastic change in everybody's behavior, because suddenly you didn't take your car and you drove and you parked and then you went in the office, you did your job, and then you went out again. Suddenly people are here all the time, and they sharing 3 or 4 or 5 people in the same environment, and this is taking a lot of energy, and it becomes very overwhelming when people actually don't know how to manage their environment. It really is going to start affecting people.
Yes. So yeah, a great segue. Your special niche of the mystery shopping, going in and understanding what it is that people respond to, what's being done, what's not being done, really is important. But I think during this time period, so many of us have had to make a shift. I don't like the word pivot as much. I think it's been way overused. And to me, pivot is like a complete change, right? 180-degree change. I think we all continue to stay who we are, and our expertise continues, but we build on that. So to me, it's a shift. And you've made a brilliant transition, I think, using all of that background in customer experience, in mystery shopping, to understanding Feng Shui, right? What is it, and how it's so important into the world that we're living in, and the people and the experiences, because our experiences are different. And so I'd like to just start out maybe, talking about what Feng Shui is. I'll let you dive deeper into it, but basically it's the system of laws where you consider spatial arrangement, right? And orientation of things in order to affect our flow of energy, whether it's positive, negative, and how it impacts everything about it. So if you could dive into that a little more for us.
Sure. So yes, I mean, Feng Shui really is 2 words: is air and water, and we can't live without air and water. That's one of our human needs, right? You look at the Maslow pyramid. The first physiological needs that we all have is air, water, and eat. So if we can't actually meet that need, we're never going to be able to go anywhere else and do anything else. So the next step, actually, in the Maslow pyramid is our safety. It's our environment. It's feeling safe. It's being able to go and sleep at night, having that security around us. So again, our home is our second most important need, to be able to feel good and actually, move along life in that, in that way. And Feng Shui, it's all about the energy. So it's all about what's going on around you, and do you have good energy around or not?
Hmm.
And remember that this somatic researches demonstrate that our environment have a direct correlation with how we think, how we feel, and how we behave.
Hmm.
So once you really realize this, right? If you have employees working from home, they've got mess everywhere. They've got the children jumping around. They've got, the in-laws ringing the bell at any time of the day or night.
Pets. Yeah, the dogs.
The dogs and, everything is going on. They can't find their things because there's a mess everywhere. They can't perform because they're overwhelmed, they're stressed, their anxiety, all those bad feelings around you. We need to be able to help employees to create better environment. So that's for employees, right? When you're working from home, and that's the webinar I just talked about and that's just done. But think about it. In a hotel or in a retail space, you're walking somewhere and you're going to walk in and suddenly you just go, oh, you don't know why.
Mm.
There's something not quite right, right? You're going to go and buy what you need and then you get out again.
Right.
Whereas,
Or you want to just like, oh, this is such a cool vibe. I'm not sure. I love this space. I just want to hang here. Right. I want to spend more
yeah,
time there.
I feel good. I feel like I'm at home. Oh, it smells nice. I can hear some really cool music. I'm
Hmm.
going to go around. I'm going to have another coffee. I'm going to buy more. I'm going to come back. I'm going to tell my friends and my family to come round here because
Hmm.
it's such a cool place, you know. And this is, again, the environment that you're creating, in your business will make your customers feel good, want to come back to you or not, right?
Right.
So we talk about the customer experience, and this is pure experience to be able to connect with your customers on an emotional level by using your five senses. That
Hmm.
smells good. When we were in Disney, we used to put bread essence in the air conditioning. So we had queues of people all around the park could smell that
That
French
wheat
baguette.
smell. Yeah.
And people were queuing for hours to buy a baguette. We're
Yeah,
so
it's amazing.
out.
Yeah, so I'm also a real estate agent, and when we would show a home, I'm sure a lot of people have heard these tips also. You either bake fresh cookies before, and it fills the house with cookies, or use some apple cider or grape juice or something with some cinnamon, which cinnamon is
Mhm.
very attractive and attracting, and it gives a sense of home, right? It's a very homey
Right.
feeling between baked cookies like the bread and the cinnamon and the wine or the apple. And there's those things that we just know intuitively somehow that we associate. And it's those, like you say, emotions. We have to touch people's emotions in any
Exactly.
business you are. People buy emotionally and they justify logically. So in real estate, we want to hit their emotions as soon as they walk in.
Mm.
And the same thing with any business. You want them immediately to have that response to you. And so that's one part, right? Is just doing things so subtly they don't even know what it is. It's going to their subconscious and their response. But what about one of the things that I think about, it's a little more overt in this case, but stores like IKEA or on the East Coast, there are these amazing, amazing grocery stores by Stu Leonard's. Used to love the experience. That was truly an experience. Or Central Market in Austin. And everyone knows IKEA, maybe not some of the others, but basically when you walk in, it's brilliantly designed so
Mm.
that they take you almost through this maze, and you have to go through every piece. And you're like, oh, I didn't think I needed that, but I see it now. And it's like, oh, I'll just pick that up too.
Mm.
And they do it so that it builds on it. So maybe you've picked up one thing that you needed, and then they consciously place something else that might add on to and be some sort of connection to what they've already put in front. So you're like, oh, well, I'm going to be buying this. So now I also need that. Right. So it just continues to build on the sales that otherwise wouldn't happen. And I think it's so brilliant. Besides Stu Leonard's taking you through the store like that, it was a fun experience for the kids because they had this big, like, it wasn't a real cow head, but it was like a cow head, and it was talking every now and then. It would start to talk at you, and it would have this train track running along near the ceiling, kind of the high part, of the wall. And, you'd see the train going around. It was a true experience. And so I would like to hear what you think about those types of stores that really dictate where you go and your buying decisions.
Yeah, 95% of our buying decisions is made with the subconscious. So there you go. Once you know that, that's it. You don't have to know anymore. But also, the way it works is we've got, in a very simple way, I'm not a neuroscientist or anything, but in a very simple way, we've got two sides of our brain. We've got the left side of our brain, which is the analytic, the logic, the doing, the get on and do things, the conscious mind. And then we've got the right side, which is our limbic brain. And this is where we connect to that emotional level. This is the dreaming time, the creative time. This is those feelings times. And so we purchase things because it's going to make us feel good. It looks beautiful. It's going to make my home so beautiful. I need it. Do you really need it?
Right. And that's when you have to say, do we want it or do we need it? And the same thing, I think about in the restaurant space, or in retail, thinking about like Home Goods or Michael's, right? The craft store, or when you're at a more of a quick service restaurant or fast casual, there are always, depending upon where you are, either rows of small little items as you're getting to the cashier, right? Again, you're waiting in line, you're just standing there looking, or point of service in a restaurant, and you see signs, that's where the signage is really important, or suggestive selling, in McDonald's, when I grew up very little working in at the register, we would always say, would you like a hot apple pie with that, ma'am or sir, or whatever. I grew up in Georgia. And so, it's getting them kind of in that mindset, that emotion where they're there, they're buying, they're seeing things, they feel good because of what you created. And then that point of sale, having things right there at the end, is just that last little hook.
Yeah, and I think, some people, there was a program here in the UK about deceit and, techniques and this and that. And yeah, those kinds of, those perhaps are some techniques, but actually, if you're doing it for your customers in mind, if you're doing it because you know that chocolate pudding is just delicious and they just cannot go without it. If you're doing it because you're buying a lorry for your little kid and they need the batteries, and if you don't actually remind them of the batteries, they're going to get home and they're going to be screaming because that lorry doesn't work. Put your customers, put yourself in your customers, do it in the right way. The selling, it's always about, what do your customers need? Sometimes they want something, but sometimes they don't actually, it's not what they need. So ask the questions, be curious, ask them, be there, be present, really listen to what your customers, what they need or what they want, but then you're able to direct them. And that's what that journey is about, when you're directing them and suggesting things that perhaps they didn't think about, and that's when you're doing things for your customers in mind, not for that kind of, we're trying to deceive you and
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you for mentioning that. I want to clarify my last statement. It's yes, a business wants to increase sales, of course. They want their ticket to be higher, but I think for you, the goal, right, the main driver, and for long-term value, lifetime value of your customers, it is always putting their interest first. And so by creating that path and by putting one thing and consciously saying, I'm going to put this out on the floor and then the next thing, yes, it builds on it, but it's because, as you say, this is something that they would need in order to make this work. They're going to need that. And there's nothing more frustrating than to get home and realize you forgot something. And so it is always thinking about, are we giving them what they want? Are we supplying it for them? And are we giving them enough choices or options, the right price point, whatever it is, and always letting that be our guide. And I agree. So thank you. I did want to clarify that. It's not about just the greed of the company making more sales, although again, as it's a business, but at the end of the day, if you're not providing what your customer wants, it doesn't matter. They're not going to buy it regardless, right? So it's
Absolutely.
also knowing who you are.
And we are all in business, yes. And if you're doing it the right way, not only, or sometimes, they may not buy from you, but you know what? You've been so nice, you've been so helpful, you've given them so much information that they'll go and they'll come back maybe 3 days later, 3 months later, 3 years later. They may have recommended you to hundreds of people to come in because you were so nice. So think the customers is here, and what you can do for them at this moment in time really will make that difference. And if you can create that environment, so I'm coming back to this, which is why I'm kind of moving towards really kind of helping the business to create a real business feng shui area, is that you can use your five senses, you can connect at that emotional level, you can increase your customer loyalty. And once you've got loyal customers, you've got thriving business, right? The profit will go up. If you look after your employees and they're happy in themselves, they will sell better. They will be happier. Your customers will be happy. Your profit will be happy. It all works in together, and that's the magic of it, isn't it?
Absolutely. You'll end up with advocates both inside and out. Back to the inside out framework. You want to have your employees be your biggest advocates, and not just salespeople, but people who feel so strongly about the ownership and what they're doing that they are the ones internally being your advocates, creating external advocates as well. So we're getting to the close to 12:30. I just want a couple things. One, I'm going to put up here for anyone who wants to get in touch with Claire. There's her website address. It's her name, Claire Bosc Scott, Boscq. There's the French, right? And then Scott. So you can see that up on the screen. And before we just wrap up here, Claire, I like to, if we have time, to just kind of always end with some inspiration. I think that for me, I learn from so many and motivated by others. You inspire others. And I would love for you to share just what guides you on your journey. What is it that inspires you? A favorite book, a quote, a person, and why at this point in time? Because I know we're shifting, right? We're evolving and transforming who we are. So what is it that's inspiring you right now?
So I'm at the moment, I really believe that we must become accountable for our environments, so we can feel better in ourselves and bringing more care into what we do, bringing more that yin energy, that right brain, having our leaders going out and saying hello and remembering people's names and asking them how their cats are, and those kind of things are just so important. And
Yes.
I feel this is really where we're going with that pandemic. Let's bring more care into what we care for our environment, our people, our customers, and our stakeholders as a whole, because at the end of the day, if you have a thriving business, your whole community will start thriving as well.
That's it.
It's
Yes.
not bad, is it?
Yeah. I talk about CX to the fifth power, and it's starting from well, it doesn't start, it's a cycle really, but it's your owners, your management, your vendors, people everyone who touches your business along the way, including then the employees, the customers, and your community at large. And it is this cycle. And you all take care of each other, and the climate is so huge. So thank you for mentioning that. I just want to put up here for everyone as a way to reach me. My website is my name, Jill Raff, and that's R like Ronald, A like apple pie, and double F like French fry. Or Jill at Jill Raff.
I'm obsessed with that now.
I have to. What can I say? It's my background, so I have to just live into that.
Help yourself.
It just happens to fit, right? So I'm gonna go with it. Or reach out to me on Clubhouse and Instagram, customer experience with Jill, underscores between each word. And thank you so much for joining us. We've got just one person on our Clubhouse right now, but let's ping in some others where I'm going to just say goodbye to you here for a minute. We have a short outro. We will be joining back again next Thursday. Claire, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. Absolutely loved sharing that moment with you, that little experience with you, and we'll see you all on Clubhouse.
All right, hang on. Thank you. So thanks again, everyone, for joining today. If you're watching and listening in the replay, thank you. And remember to write comments in, tag Claire, tag myself. We're happy to continue the conversation there. Thank you for joining next Thursday for another episode of Celebrity Customer Experience, Riffs with me, Jill Raff, and another guest, which should be very exciting. So join us next week.